Ben Aaron is a 4-time Emmy award-winning TV reporter who has been on NBC Universal's LX TV, WNBC's New York Live, and was the co-host of the popular syndicated talk show Pickler and Ben. He currently is a reporter for WPIX 11. He also recently teamed up with his wife, ABC's chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, and Good Morning America on a home renovation show called Renovation Realities, Ben and Ginger. Welcome, Ben. Can you tell us a little bit about your OCD, when you were first diagnosed? What are your obsessive thoughts, if you still have them?
Oh, wow. I remember exactly when it first started. I was never diagnosed because I never really knew what it was. And then part of my OCD it's very similar to Fight Club, where if you talk about the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. First rule of my OCD was you can't talk about OCD, or all the bad things that you're trying to prevent will occur. So I couldn't tell anybody. So people would see me doing these things, and I would have to I became like an expert at what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Wait a minute. It started when I was 7, and talking to people, I realized that there's always like some kind of traumatic catalyst, and that was my parents' divorce. That was the lack of control that I had, and it started really simple. I remember it started. There's like a thermostat, and I had to touch it twice. It all began with the touching twice. And from that, it evolved into the most complex, every single thing, from brushing your teeth to making your bed to going to school to combing your hair to going to the bathroom. Every single thing you did, it evolved. It started off with even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then so it'd be like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then it evolves into everything. It just became, I think people that have OCD are very creative because they create these worlds in their minds that they live by, and they have these thoughts that are like, okay, they find little rituals, and these rituals evolve into other things. And my rituals, there were times where it was mellow. And by mellow, I mean, it would take me 10 minutes to tie my shoes. To times I would fall asleep at a light switch because I was there for 6 hours. So never diagnosed. Should have went to therapy. My parents either shrugged it off to their friends and like, oh no, it's nothing. Or unfortunately, goofed on me because they didn't know what it was. So they would untie my shoes had to be lined up perfectly, and the laces both had to be strung out like wings. They would put my shoes upside down just to mess, but they didn't know what it was. They had it sounds cruel, but it's more ignorance than anything. They're great parents. Right. No idea.
My mom doesn't understand my own obsessions either.
Yeah. It's hard to, and plus it's your kid, you think your kid's perfect, and you wish for the best. You don't want them to be hurt, and then you see them doing these things, and you don't, even, we look at our kids and we're like, what if it's all genetic? How are we going to handle it? I don't know how to go about it. I don't know what would have helped me.
Right. So you had mentioned that there were shoelaces that needed to be evenly perfect and in shape and so forth. What was your thinking if they were not in the way that you wanted them to be? What would happen?
Bad luck. Everything was bad luck. It was all rituals in the sense of bad luck. Like I said, it was every single part of my life. If I didn't do something, then, and I was a lucky kid, I come from a good family, and, all this, I had friends and very close to my sister, and, it was every single aspect. If there was a test coming up, if I didn't do something, I was screwed. I wasn't going to get it. I wasn't going to, get the right girl. And then it evolved into the craziest stuff eventually, where left represented scholastics, right represented dating and social life. So if I wanted to do well scholastically, I would have to push something to the utmost top left point. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to, and the girl stuff, I never did. Hence me never dating as a kid. But I was so focused on scholastics that everything was with the left. I had to carry all my bags in my left hand. I had to push everything so far left. And sometimes things can only go so left, so I would end up breaking that thing. But it's a prison. It is. It's debilitating prison. I was late for everything, even though I didn't want to be. I remember there was times where I was with people, because when you're with people, it's a little safer because they catch you doing it. So you can kind of skip a few things because you don't want to be embarrassed. And I remember there were so many times where I was with like a friend and then like they went away and I'm like, well, I'm all alone. I'm going to be sitting on this couch for the next 6 hours, even though I don't want to be. Everything that would take 5 minutes for anybody else, brushing your teeth, would take me hours because I was just trying to get these things correct. And it sucked. I mean, and now I'm so clean simply for the fact that I couldn't be clean forever. And my parents were like, why are you so messy? It's gross. I'm like, oh, I can't fold clothes. If I fold a shirt, it's going to take me 2 hours to fold one shirt, let alone a whole stack of shirts. So we just leave them on the ground. And now it's like, oh, like I can fold, I'm cleaning, I'm taking advantage of all the things, and people will take them for granted. They think if they're just, stupid chores, or, tying your shoes is just no big deal. But for me, it was a painstaking process. So it's really, I don't know. I don't remember what your question was. I kind of went off on a rant. I'm sorry.
I had just asked about what some of your obsessive thoughts were. So you answered that.
Bad luck.
Okay. Yeah. And now as you're an adult, I mean, OCD doesn't necessarily go away. How does your OCD, your thoughts affect you now on a day-to-day basis?
It's still apparent. I've beat it. The most dominant OCD ritual I had was the touching thing. And then, like I said, it moved to the left side stuff. And that would be like, you're at a thing for an hour or 2 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is. That it happened in 2 cycles. It happened when I was very young, and then it went away kind of, but I still had OCD rituals, but they weren't debilitating. Mm-hmm. And then it came back when I went to college, and that was really debilitating. And that was when I was an adult. So I finally ended up turning it against itself. So I still have minor moments of OCD, but I don't have that debilitating. But like you said, it doesn't ever go away. I can't let it come back to that point. I mean, I can't imagine changing my son's diaper and being full throws OCD and I would be bleeding at times. I'd be doing something so much, or, so I don't think it goes away, but there's definitely songs I can't hear because it reminds me of a day that was really bad. And if I hear that song, that's, it's going to be a bad day again. And there's definitely a number of times I run the brush through my hair and that kind of thing. But it doesn't take over like it used to, thank God. I always thought there was this, it made me, I was special. Like this made me, I knew something no one else did. Because before the internet, when I was really young, when I didn't know what it was, I couldn't look it up. Like, oh, okay, there's millions of people that have this. I thought I was elite a little bit. Like I was part of this secret club of doing this stuff, and I was going to excel because I was doing this stuff and nobody else was. And that was something that drove me a lot. So it's your brain. It's your stupid brain saying you're scared, and right. This is how you're going to gain some control over your life, because we're all out of control. So it's just your brain just acting stupid and being, it's all imaginary crap. It's not like, there are people actually dying and starving and we're here being like, creating these issues, and it's awful. And I feel terrible for people. And, I remember the first time I ever talked to anybody about it was this, besides my wife, was this little girl who was 13 years old that was at an event for OCD. And I started talking to her and I started crying because I saw myself in her, and I saw the pain that I went through for 25 years of not doing anything. I mean, you couldn't do anything. And it was heartbreaking because this little girl, her brain was just taking over her body. And it was so unfortunate. I just want to be like, if you stop right now, you'll be fine. You will, I promise you will be fine. You will not be struck by lightning. You will not be a failure. You'll be exactly the kind of person you are, except better. You'll be able to do more and go out and be free. It's like leaving prison. And that actually is how I turned it against itself. And that's like my saving grace for when I was really in the deepest OCD part was I said to myself, okay, you're doing this stuff and things are going well. What if you didn't do this stuff? Things would actually go better. Things would actually improve. Your luck would be better. Try not doing it. And then my OCD almost became not having OCD. And anytime I thought about doing any of the ritual stuff, I was like, it's going to bring me back to the bad luck. I got to go to the good luck. So I'm still heavily OCD, I guess. I just found a way to flip it on its end and turn it against itself. But there's so many low points and so many points where I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I mean, I put my fist through a porcelain toothbrush holder because I couldn't get it right. I've broken, because once you break something, you can't touch it. So I just shatter things. I'm getting, the anger. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I remember one time, this was like the rock bottom was, I remember I went to my great uncle's house in Vegas, and it was nighttime. He was asleep. Everyone was asleep. It was probably 11 o'clock at night. And I was outside of my car, and I was getting my bag out of the trunk, and I had to pee. And that was like the worst, because I always had to pee, and you couldn't finish a ritual. You had to finish a ritual before you go pee. So I'd be like on the verge of peeing in my pants. And I was an adult. I was 25 years old. So I was getting the bag out, and I couldn't get the bag, couldn't get the bag. And then you end up yelling at an invisible person. Stop it. Stop. So angry that I just peed right in my pants. 25 years old. I peed right in my pants outside and I was just like sticking my middle finger up to whoever was doing this to me. Mm-hmm. That was the point where I was like, all right, you're 25. It didn't stop me from doing any of my rituals that they still maintained. But that was a point where I was like, yeah, this sucks. This really, one of the million times, this really, really sucks. You just peed your pants, 25-year-old. It's terrible.
Awful.
Yeah, but it's part of it. It sucks.
I know.
It's awful. And people don't get the extent of it until you're in it. They're like, oh, just stop doing it. You can't.
Yeah, that's the problem with OCD and then also depression. It's just, you
can't understand.
You don't know unless you're in that person's body.
Right, exactly. And you could give all the advice you want. You could say it. But, and like I said before, it's the most frustrating thing is it's just here. It's here. As the outside world is not trying to get you. It's right in your mind. It's all in your mind. And, it's chemical imbalances and everything like that. It's genetics and whatever it is. But it's just thoughts. It's your thoughts.
Exactly. The mind is playing tricks on us.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So have there been any treatments that you've participated in, whether it be therapy or you on any type of medication to help you with your OCD?
No, that's the weirdest part. Like I said, I spent a great deal of my young life not knowing what it was, not telling anybody what. I mean, I recently talked to my parents. It's like coming out, basically. I talked to my parents about it probably 5 years ago. They had no idea. They saw the little things, but I thought it was just being a weird teenager, no big deal. So I was never in a position to diagnose it or take treatment. I should have went to therapy. I should have gone to therapy. That would have been a great advantage, would be talking to somebody about this. But I worked it out all myself. Like I said, I turned it against itself, and that was the big resolution. And again, it's that creative thing. Like I remember when I was going to school one time when I was a little boy, and every time I go to the bus stop, there was all these like little pieces of tar everywhere, these little like drops, and I would have to touch a piece of tar with my foot, and I couldn't move until I got that foot. So you'd see this kid on the middle of the street just going, like trying to get out, but he can't, like he's stuck. And then one time I did it, and I walked away, and that didn't work. So I went back to go find the tar, and I couldn't find exactly the tar. I was like, wait a second. It's impossible to touch the same thing twice, because even if it's this computer, I'm never touching it in the exact same way that I touched the first time. So therefore, the whole thing is moot. And that was the first turning point of me beating it, was like, oh my God, I can now touch things without touching it again. That was a big point. So it's all been self-treatment, just fighting through it, which is terribly unhealthy. I lost a lot of life because of it, hours, days, probably months of, if you combine all the hours of the rituals together, it's probably 5 years worth of hours. So, but yeah, no, I should have.
But you've at least overcome a lot.
A lot of it, yeah, but still, I mean, I still obsess over things, and it's the physical, and it's also emotional. It's the touching is one part, but it's also like, oh my God, did I do that? Did I lock the door? Did I do this? Oh my God, did I say something wrong and that person heard me? Oh my God, and I'm obsessed. My wife makes fun of me because she says, oh, here it goes, just spiraling, because I'll think about something like, oh my God, did I do that? I don't know if I did that. Did I say that right? I don't think I said that right. And being on TV is even worse.
I'm just like you and all that. I make sure I check the doors. Did I say the right thing? I mean, I get it.
Forget about it. someone has a stomach virus and they're near me, I will obsess for 48 hours straight.
I get it.
Yeah.
So in an article you wrote for the Future of Mental Health, you mentioned, you brought this up a little bit earlier, that really the first time that you opened up was to your wife, Ginger.
Yes.
And you found that she really comforted you and helped you open up. What strategies or what ways did she, like, how did she comfort you?
She understood. I think it's a matter of trust too. It was one of those nights where, like I tell every couple that's, moving on to the next level of seriousness, I say, have the talk. Sit down. It wasn't planned. We just started talking. Tell each other every single dark secret that you have, every single shady, weird, crazy secret you have. Get it out, get it all on the table. And mine was my OCD and understanding her mental health issues. That was something that really brought me comfort, because I was like, okay, this is someone who can empathize with what I went through. And it was weird because she listened and she was like, yeah, I got it, dude. You're in it. I have it. You have it. It's like, oh God, really? Oh no, that's weird. Oh, it was none of that. It was just very understanding. And, Ginger's very easy to talk to and she's incredibly intelligent. So it's that also helps. But, if you can't talk to your wife or husband about, or anybody, then you can't talk to anybody about that stuff.
Right. And she's been through a lot of different things too,
Yeah.
not just depression, as I learned 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So it works very well. I can tell you guys are very compatible.
Yeah.
So many ways.
Very different.
And I don't even know anything else just besides your, mental health and just all of that. But it's great to see.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So what would you recommend to somebody who has OCD and is just starting out in a relationship?
That is a very good question. I'm trying to think if because I just never had a girlfriend. It's so sad. Trying to think if I was ever in the throes of it. It's difficult. I think it depends on how serious you are in the relationship. If this is a relationship that you were like, okay, this is going to go somewhere, then I think you have that talk. Listen, I want to talk to you about something. I have this issue. And I want you to be aware of it. I don't want you to be like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get through it. I think being open is very important. But like I said, if you're just dating the person casually, no need to say anything. But the right person will look at you and say, it's okay. Well, it doesn't affect me at all. I understand it's a part of you. Everybody's got shtick. Every single person on this planet has something going on. There's not one person who's safe. I mean, I thought Ginger was safe. Everybody's got something. I think Robin Roberts said that everyone's got something, and it's the truth. So I wouldn't be concerned. But save it for someone who's special, and save it for someone who's worth working out the whole process with.
Right. And hopefully that person will find the right person and just be natural like it was for you. And
hey, I pissed my pants at 25 years old. I got married.
Exactly. You never know.
Yeah.
So from my discussion with Ginger, I had asked her about strategies in terms of managing her depression. And one thing she had mentioned was, among a lot of different things, was transparency. And when she's having a bad day, one of the things she does, aside from tell herself, is comes to you and says that she's having a bad day. Are there any things that you do and let Ginger know about?
Not now, because I'm pretty good now. Like I mean, a lot of my joy, of course, the majority comes from the kids and Ginger. But a good portion of it comes from the appreciation I have of not having to deal with what I dealt with for 25 years. Okay. I handled it horribly. I handled it 100% incorrectly. I should have, but mind you, I was 7, so I didn't know. But when I got older, I shouldn't have been afraid to talk about it. And that's something that I made a big misstep in. But I was scared. I was terrified. I mean, you're frozen, terrified. So I should have taken the right steps. I don't recommend doing it my way. Don't come up with an interesting way to beat your OCD. If you can, great. But talk to somebody, talk to a professional. take the proper steps in doing so, because it's a lot more healthy, I think, than putting your fist through a wall every 5 seconds like I was.
No, I completely understand. So as an award-winning TV personality, star, and co-host of the previous syndicated talk show, Pickler and Ben, how does your OCD, if it does, affect you on a regular basis when you're on TV?
Now it doesn't. When that's the funny thing about being on TV. That's probably one of the reasons I love it so much, is that it went away when I was on television. The only time it went away was when I was doing TV. When I was doing radio, it was impossible because no one can see you. So I'd be in the booth for like 6 hours when I'd only need to be there for 15 minutes. But no, TV is always a place where I live in the moment, and I never live in the moment. I can't live in the moment. It's impossible. But when I'm on camera, that's the point where I am at true peace and relaxation. So it doesn't really affect me. When I was younger, and I was doing TV, and I'd be at the studio till like 2 a.m. editing. It would take me 3 hours to get out of the building because I'd be touching all these things, and I'd be, anxious about the piece that was airing. I'd be excited about people seeing and all that stuff, and that would add to the madness of me having there's probably security camera footage of me just doing the weirdest things. I'm sure they had a lot of laughs, security guards, at like, what is this? Why is he doing that? What is he doing? But no, it doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect me now. Thank God. Well,
do you think also it may have to do with the fact that you have to be so on and you can't think about other things when you're on TV?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like I said, you're in the moment. It's truly, you're there, you're present, and there's so many eyes on you that you can't really do anything. Although eyes on me, I remember there was times I was playing tennis with a bunch of kids, like for camp, and I would have to touch my heels, and then I would hit the shot, touch my heel, hit the shot, and all the other kids saw it, so they would all start touching their heels and hitting the shot, because they were half making fun of me, half being like, "Oh, that must be good luck. Let's try it." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Okay, yeah, it sucks. I hate it so much. I don't want to do it. It's not fun what I'm doing." Yeah. Wherever that answer went, I have no idea. I think
it sounds good. You answered the question. So what have you learned as an adult with OCD?
I learned, and I hate to minimize it and degrade it, because I know it's completely debilitating. But that's why I feel this way, because I look back at my life and the years and years and years of having it, and being late, and being completely paralyzed every second of every day. This doesn't go away. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to music and it goes away. You can't listen to music because you have to rewind it and hear something over and over again. I learned that it's complete BS. It was totally in my head. It was my stupid head saying, I'm going to take advantage of your anxiety and your fear of the world, and I'm going to exploit it, and I'm going to make you do things. And I wasted so much of my life doing it. And I know people watching is like, oh, thanks. It's not BS. I'm going through it. That's not what I mean. I mean, I didn't have to do these things. I know it wouldn't affect me if I didn't push everything to the left. I'd be the same person I am now, except I'd be on time for things, or I'd be, happier. I would have freedom. So I think it just puts things into perspective. It makes me appreciate doing things. Everything, going to the shower, everything, cleaning my ears. Remember, my ears bleeding because I was scrubbing so hard, or, itching my shoulder, and I would itch it, blood, So it's definitely the appreciation of everything, of the little things that a lot of people are like, I'm gonna take out the garbage. Well, I'll meet you there, because it's no problem now, and it was before.
Right. And it's so interesting. I mean, this has nothing to do with disorders or whatnot, but I think through this COVID crisis, I think a lot of people have started to appreciate things that they never would have appreciated before.
Totally.
Even like for women, going and getting their hair done, makeup, nails. And appreciation is a very important thing.
It's
And I
the
think
same exact thing. It's the same. Imagine not being able to put your pants on, put a shirt on. I remember I had problems putting, and it leaked to every single movement I did. So it'd be one day it was pants, one day it was socks, one day, for 3 months it'd be shirts. I remember I didn't have a single shirt that had a collar that fit because they'd be stretched out like this. So I wore these like scoop neck, really like inadvertent scoop necks all the time. So those little tiny motions and actions that you do on a daily basis that you don't think about, just like you said, like COVID, like, going out to dinner used to be like no big deal. Now it's like, oh my God, we're going out to dinner. Putting on a shirt and not having to do whatever it is that I was doing. I morphed my body completely. My shoulders, if you took my shirt off, my shoulder goes completely forward because for 25 years, I had to sleep on my shoulder, hands clasped, elbows touching, knees touching. There were times where I had to put my shirt over both ears. And so I remember that. I remember being in camp just sweating profusely because I'd have to be in this position. So 25 years, I'd have to do this with my hands touching like this. And now I have completely screwed up body because of it. But now I can sleep on my stomach, on my back, all this other stuff. And that is the greatest thing on the planet because I can actually sleep and be comfortable. And, my posture still sucks and my shoulders are completely messed up. But, people are always like, put your shoulders back. Why do you have such bad posture? And it's like, you want to know why, really? Sit down. I'll tell you a story.
So. Try to live in my body and brain forever.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just tortured. It sucked. It's torture. It really is. It's self-inflicted torture.
I know. So lastly, and you'd mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but what advice would you give to others who are struggling with OCD?
So hard because everybody goes through it differently. And I remember when I wrote that article, a bunch of people reached out and they're like, I have this, what would I do? And I'm like, God, I wish I could just touch you and heal you. And that's it. I wish I could just take it away from you right now because I know how awful it is. My God, it's so hard to give advice about it because, like I said, my advice is talk to somebody. I mean, if you can, if that helps. I never talked to somebody, so I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that is the right thing to do. I don't know if medication is the right thing to do because I never took medication. But it's going to be okay. I promise. I promise you with everything that I am. If you stop doing your rituals, doing whatever it is that takes up your time in your OCD, I promise you, you will be okay. It will be fine. Your life will get better because of it. It will. It's impossible. I understand that. It's impossible to snap your fingers and just stop doing these things because it's your life and it controls you. But one day, if you get to that point where you can just let go, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like I said, you appreciate everything and everything is fine. You will be more successful, better luck, better fortune if you stop. It's a demon. Kill the demon, your life gets better.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah. I just wish I could, like I said, poof, magic wand people and be like, it's gone. You're fine now. Even me saying this though, that's the funniest thing is even me saying this. Now I'm like, great. Now I'm going to get hit by a car. Like, it's like in your brain, it never leaves your brain. It always
walk downstairs and have another obsessive
right.
thought.
But you know what that is? That's some idiot driving a car horribly or you looking at your phone. That's your fault. It has nothing to do with your OCD. Nothing. If you fail a test, it's because you didn't study hard enough. It's not to do with your OCD. If you get the girl or get the guy, it's because they like you. It has nothing to do because you did 27 taps on something or step twice on something. It has nothing to do with it. Give yourself a little credit or give yourself a little discredit if you fail or if you succeed. It has nothing to do with your OCD. It has everything to do with you and just the way things play out and the way the universe does and with people and we're just a bunch of people on a rock and just bouncing back and forth. So bad things happen because it's just what happens. Good things happen again. That's just what happens. Nothing to do with your OCD. Nothing.
You can't control disorders. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned through my depression and then OCD is you can't blame yourself for it. I'm very good at blaming myself for things that happen, and you have to have compassion.
Yeah, and it's very religious in a sense that I remember when I remember, oh my God, it was my first DJ gig at school, and I was jumping over every crack perfectly, like I was nailing it. Like I was on, every time I was in the gym, I would jump over the line. I would do everything my ritual told me to do. And 2 songs into my DJ gig, my speakers blew. And I was like, what the hell? I did everything right. And it's similar in a religious aspect where if you pray, and then whatever you pray for doesn't happen, you say, oh, he's just testing me now, and it's a good thing. It's the same thing. My speaker blew it. I'm like, you know what? It's a good thing. Something it's okay. It's nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with you jumping over the cracks. You blew your speakers because your amplifier was too powerful for your speakers, idiot. You shouldn't have done that. And my dad kept going, turn it up. That's why they blew. It didn't blow because you didn't jump over the cracks. It's like, oh God, it's just maddening. It's maddening to look back on all those things and just be like, if I could have talked to myself, I would have given myself a nice piece of advice, I think.
It's nice. I mean, me too, but you've overcome a lot.
Yeah.
It was a battle. It's still nice to see like where you are at this point in your life. Happily married, have kids, TV reporter, Pickler and Ben.
Gotta look out for the kids. Got to make sure that, find a way to talk to them. If I do see signs of it, talk to them in a way that my parents couldn't, and,
yeah, of course,
not judge and be, helpful in any way I can.
And I'm sure you and Ginger are doing that.
I hope so. Oh God, I hope so.
I'm sure you are. Well, this was so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.